Hey guys, welcome back to the channel here. We are finishing up our four-part series, I guess. Originally was planned for three. Four-part series on this pet adoption UI design that I found on Dribble. I'm gonna attach the link to the bio of the designer that I found this, the profile that I found this on Dribble, just to to give credit where credit's due. And if you guys like this design, maybe you should check out some of her other work. That being said, we've already worked on the three screens that she designed. And in this video, we're going to put it all together. So this is really the payoff moment where all of our hard work, our struggles, sweat and tears. I don't know about all y'all, but the sweat and tears that we poured into this app, it's all going to come together right now. So it should be fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go back to the main.dart, where up to this point we've just been feeding in each screen by screen. And now we're going to go ahead and create a final file here that's going to contain, I'm going to call it the frame, the menu frame. And because that's really going to contain all of all of our screens, the navigation, the menu. That's why it's the menu frame. And you'll see that in one sec here, if I can get this working. Menu frame, go ahead and import the material as per usual. And replace that in the home of the main. So I'll hit that, should be a black screen. That's to be expected. Okay, so the main frame, or the main foundation of this app is going to be a stack, right? Because we've got this menu, and the menu is going to have this screen stacked on top of it. And if we were going all in on this app, we would make out a donation screen, an ad pet screen, settings, but all of them would be stacked on top of this menu. This menu, we're gonna implement an animation here to slide the screen off, and we're only gonna use this screen because it's the only one we've created. If you wanted to go all in, like I said, you would create all of these. So that's why the foundation of this needs to be a stack. Okay, so we're gonna have a stack with children, and first stack, starting at the bottom, will be the menu screen. Make sure I don't stack a menu frame on top of a menu frame. The menu screen, let's just go ahead and hit save. There's our menu screen that we designed back in video 1. Let's go ahead and stack the adoption screen on top of it. So now we should no longer see the menu screen. Okay. So now the idea here is that when we click on the icon here, that the menu will slide off, right? So that's going to involve some animation, and it's for that I use the stateful widget, because in Flutter, when you're working with animations, you need to use a stateful widget and add what's called a mixin, and for that we'll use a single ticker provider state mixin. It's a long name, but needless to say, this is something that is needed in order to do animations. All right. If you've worked in Swift, I believe we call these protocols. It's a familiar pattern from other programming languages, and maybe they use different names. In Dart, it's called a mixin. So that's all you need to know about that for now. So here, what we're going to do is create a controller for our animation. And here we're not going to, let's make it private, why not? We're gonna use our init state function in order to, let's just go ahead and do that right away. I was gonna do something else, but let's do that right away. So this function is called upon the creation of the the state, so it's where you can kind of do some setting up of things at the beginning of its lifespan. And that's here where we're going to say, we're going to really initiate the animation controller. And this vsync, we're going to set it equal to this. This is why we added the single ticker provider mix-in. You can see here, hopefully if yeah, there we go. If you can see my mouse here, I'm not going to click because it might go away, but you see the vsync is of type ticker provider. And since we've created this class as a ticker provider, we can therefore pass this in. If it doesn't make sense to you, you know, it's something that you'll have to learn over time here. I don't know if we'll do a special video dedicated to that, but here we want a duration, and that we can define. So that will be the duration that we pass in. All right. And then what we want to do is create a animated position. So you can wrap, what we're going to do is wrap this in an animated position, right? And there you pass in some variables such as a duration, and then you pass in some information about its position. If we say 500 left and negative 500 right, you can see that the animation took 200 milliseconds and it slid 500 pixels to the right. I didn't know offhand what the width of the screen was, so let's actually, this is a good time to get the width of the screen. So then we can actually plug in the device width times a little more than half, maybe. And then this one could be device width. I don't know if it likes that minus device width, so let's just multiply by a negative number. Okay. Okay, so we're getting some errors about things being cut off, but it's almost expected that things will be cut off, right? Because we've actually moved the screen purposely off to the side. But the next thing that we want to do is we would like to shrink everything, right? So we want to keep the same proportions, but we want to shrink this screen and everything inside of it. So that can be done using a scale transition. All right, let's just get the, and here what we have is a scale. If you ever want, you can hit Control P, Command P if you're using a Mac, and you can see what this is expecting to have, or what the properties are, right? So it's expecting an animation of type double for its scale. Scale animation is equal to a tween. And a tween is a way of defining, it gives you define the type, like I've defined double, and you give a beginning value and ending value, and it does the in-between animation, if you get my drift. Tween. So that's just a built-in thing here for Flutter. And if we want to say it begins at scale 0 and it ends at scale, I don't know, let's try 0.6. I have no idea. And I'm already getting some kind of error here. And that is because I have not animated. Animate. And then you define the animation controller as the parent. Okay. And then we go back to our scale. You just saw it flashed on the screen that this is a required. So scale animation. So let's see what we get. Scale is not null is not true. So let's just restart and see if that goes away. Sometimes you need to kick it a little bit. The hot reload is awesome, but sometimes you really got to give it a kick. Okay. So let's see. I guess what I want to do is define a variable to say whether or not the menu is open. And we'll start it with it being false. So when we boot it up, the menu will not be open. And then when you click, here, let's add some commas here to fix the format. When you click on this icon, we're going to set the menu open to true. And then we're going to run the animation as well. So what I want to do, I guess, is pass in a callback function to this adoption screen. Where is my adoption screen? There it is. So let's go ahead and let's find the widget. And we'll pass in a menu callback as a function. And then what you have to do is define the initializer. And I'm going to make this a required this.menu callback. So from now on, this will be required. And what we're going to do is on the click of this button, we're going to use that function. We're going to call that function. So let's find it. Icon bars. Let's go ahead and wrap this with an inkwell on. Is it on tap or on press? Come on, you serious? On tap. What's on tap, y'all? Sorry. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. We're getting into IDE hell here, where my Android Studio is no longer a friend, but my sworn enemy. Oh, you know what? We'll just do widget dot menu callback, and that's how we get that. So now if we go back to our menu frame, we should be able to pass in a menu callback. And at first I'm just going to say, just to make sure this is working, see that? Hello. All right. So now we can see that our callback is working. Let's go ahead and hit a set state and say menu open is true. Right? And then we can say AnimationController dot forward. And then we actually want to use that menu open thing. Okay, so menu open question mark. Is it open or is it not open? If it is open, then we use this offset. If it's not, then it's just 0. Same with the right. If it's not open, 0s. Okay, so now the menu is not open. That's pretty cool, right? It's stuck open for the moment. We can't close it because we haven't put that into play yet, but it looks pretty good, right? Let's go ahead and what I think we're going to do is wrap this in a gesture detector. So gesture detector on tap, and if you tap anywhere on this, if the menu is open, it should close the menu, right? So let's see if there's a more elegant way of doing that. Let's see, if the menu is open and you tap here, then let's set state. Menu open is false. And then we'll run the animation controller in reverse. That makes sense, right? All right. Well, seems to be working, right? The next thing is I want to round these corners. I think I can do that if I wrap the screen in a material. Does not seem to be working. What could we do instead? Well, there's another problem already, right? So we can actually interact with the screen, and we don't want that. For instance, this is going to navigate to a new screen, and we don't want that to happen. So what can we do to prevent that? There is a widget called absorb pointer, and you can say whether you want it to absorb or not. So if the menu is open, then it should absorb, which means that it ignores all of the touch events, like the scrolling, multi-touch, everything. It will just absorb. That's why it's called that. And it will not allow you to navigate to other screens. Oh, here we go. So now we do that. And you see that I can't tap on this icon and highlight it. I can't scroll. That's a good thing, right? So it seems to be working pretty good. Let's come back to that rounded corners thing and see if we can't just implement this other navigation really quickly. So in the adoption screen, if you click on anywhere on this, we want to navigate to the detail screen. And actually, let's go ahead in that detail screen. We have this hard-coded animal in there. Let's get rid of it. And just like we did in the other widget, we're going to define a initializer here. And this is also required, because what's the point of having an animal detail screen if it doesn't have an animal? So that's definitely required. So that's all we need to do here. And then on the adoption screen, okay, we got to find the right spot here. Where is the animal? That's the list view of the animals. So right here, I would think. Add a gesture detector. On tap. Navigator dot push. Context. We'll do a material page route. It's the default. Pass the context. Right, and then we want to return an animal detail. My IDE is extremely slow right now. Animal detail. I'll just do it without the autocomplete. We'll do it live. And then animal. What's going wrong here? Ah, okay, because this needs to be, this is a builder. There we go. And this hasn't been imported, so what I always do is just erase it, wait for the autocomplete, and then it's imported, and we're missing something as well. Something is missing here. All right. Sola. If we go back, we haven't. See, we can drag here, but we haven't actually, we haven't set up the back button. So in the animal detail screen, quickly, this should be really, really quick. Arrow left. On tap. This will be navigator.pop context. Okay. Yes. Color changes, the name. So we're correctly passing the right cat, which is good. I'd like to see this do what's called a hero animation. So we're in the animal detail screen. Let's find the image. Let's wrap this in a hero. If you don't know what that is, you're going to see very shortly. Let's say animal.name. This needs to be unique. The tag has to be unique. So we only have one cat named Orion and one cat named Sola. You can see how that could become an issue if you were running an app. You would want to use like a UUID, like an index that you know for sure is unique. So here we have hero, and you have to wrap it in the previous screen as well, the image, or whatever it is that you're animating. And I am never going to find it. There it is. Hero, same tag. Now we should get that cool animation. You see where it kind of flies. It runs even better on your phone than it does in the simulator. But we have that cool animation. Alright guys, well the only thing that's bothering me is that we're not seeing that rounded corners here, so I'm going to restart it completely, and that means I'm going to have to pause the video because my computer takes forever to reload. But I'm wondering if it's not because the state has already been loaded or something. Let's try it. It's always worth restarting your computer when you have something wrong, right? So let's try that. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I am back. I reloaded the app, and while it was reloading, I was able to find where the error was. And it actually has nothing to do with the reload that I did. It seems to be that this adoption screen has, for its highest level widget, a material. So if we look at the adoption screen, you'll see that there's a material. You may remember back in video 2 we added this material to inherit the theme data and get rid of that funky error with the yellow underline for all of our text fields. So this seems to be preventing it from working, having a material directly inside of a material. But if I get rid of this material here in the adoption screen, and we just use, in the menu frame, if we use this material, and you see I changed this to test it. So we want to go back to using menu open, and if it is 30, and if not, 0. And that should fix everything. So now we have this rounded We might even use, I don't know. Let's go extreme, y'all. Let's get even a bigger corner radius here. So you click here, and in the same time that it's animating down to its smaller size, it's also animating these corner radius, these rounded edges, which is pretty cool. All right, so let's look at this. Everything seems to be working as we would hope. Wow, we did it, guys. This is a pretty cool looking design. So I hope you've learned a lot from this series. I've learned a few things. I appreciate you guys spending the time with me. Do like and subscribe if you like the content. I really appreciate that. And I will see you guys in the next series. Thanks a lot.